Hi, and welcome to the second season of Parisian Londoner, the podcast. Welcome everyone. We have a very special lineup today for this very, very sensitive topic that I really, really like, especially because it's the subject of plenty of debate amongst my friends, especially Bobby here, Chelsea fan from Paris. Very interesting. Guys, just introduce yourself. Tell us where you're coming from and which team do you support. Let's kick off with Andrea Ginola.
Okay, so I think that he started off by saying my last name, so I'm guessing that you guys all know where I'm coming from. So might not need to introduce myself regarding to that. So I grew up in south of France, currently live in Paris, and unfortunately at the moment I'm a Spurs fan. So yeah.
Right, Steve.
Yes, my name's Big Steve. I'm from Manchester, and I support Manchester City.
Nice one. John?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, I'm Jonathan. I come from Birmingham. You wouldn't be able to tell it by the accent. I'm a Villa fan, but I live and work in Paris. I'm a football journalist, and I've been covering Paris Saint-Germain since the beginning of the Qatari project.
Nice one. Bobby?
Hi, guys. My name is Bobby. I'm from Boulogne, next to Paris, but I come from the campaign of around Paris.
And which team do you support again?
Of course, Chelsea.
Right. Ben?
My name's Ben, from Bristol, still live in Bristol, and sadly at the moment I support Bristol City.
How old are you again, mate?
13.
Interesting.
14 in December.
Right, so the topic of today is support your local team. So I'm just going to spit a few facts here around the importance of supporting the local team, the difference between English football and French football in regards to local teams, and as well as, this one will be interesting. The third topic will be the opportunistic fans, hashtag the glory hunters. And this one will be a bit sensible as well. So just a quick fact, it's from an EFL survey, right? So 73% of the fans filling up the stadiums are coming from the local area of the club. So that's in my opinion, a very interesting fact, meaning that if you're supporting a club abroad, there's a big difference between fans, local fans and fans from abroad. The relationship between the club and the local community is very interesting from a charity perspective, from a local development perspective, jobs as well, which is very, very crucial here. And also another stat, which is the link between the family and the team you support. 67% of people support a club supported by a close family member. Guys, what are your thoughts around this? What do you think about those stats?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
I mean, I think football's just changed a lot. Obviously, I've had a season ticket at Manchester City since '89, so my club has gone through a lot of changes, as you well know. So we used to be not very good at all, you know what I mean? But the fans, 30,000 fans in Division 2, week in, week out. We had Man United winning trebles over the road. We were still going to City, trying to, we were more the local club. And then obviously we hit the jackpot. And with the jackpot comes different fans. And now what you're seeing from me is a massive difference. Obviously from the main road days to now, it's massive. And we get a lot of hate. Oh, you've got no fans, this, that, and the other. Listen, as a Manchester City supporter living in Manchester, we've got a solid core of fans. Manchester City's probably got a solid, hardcore base of around 40,000. But that's because we share a city with Man United, and they're a lot more successful than us. So if the Sheikh ran away yesterday and left us, we'd still have that hardcore. But now what a lot of Man City fans are struggling with as well, we're dealing with a lot of an influence of these so-called glory hunting fans turning up, getting tickets before certain loyal fans. It's rubbing people up the wrong way. I mean, I have it on the Big Six show. I tell people there is a difference between a local match-going fan and a fan abroad. I'm not trying to say one's better than the other, but I'm saying there's a difference. For me, I'm in the city every day. I live and breathe it. Today, with Man United getting beat yesterday 5-0, it's just been banter all day. From the milkman to the postman to the guy that delivers the mail, everything's just been crazy. Whereas somebody who's maybe sat in France who supports Manchester City, he's not seen that today. He's gone about his day-to-day routine, and that's what I'm trying to say, the difference. I mean, the global game, the game's gone global. So, and these clubs now are pandering to these global fans as well. Whereas years ago, you'd go to Main Road, 39,000 there, 38,000 of them would be Mancunian. It might be 1,000 sprinkled about. Now it's totally different. But the clubs are targeting these fans. They want the fans. They need the money from these fans. They're important. But it's crazy. I mean, it's just football in general is going that way. The local supporters at Manchester City aren't happy with these guys turning up, buying all the shirts and all that, because we hated that with Man United. We used to say, you're the tourist club. You're not a proper team. We've got soul, you know what I mean? We've got heart. You haven't. It's like a circus rolls into town on a match day. You buy the shirts and then they disappear. Whereas Manchester City, we was on the verge of going bankrupt, and the chairman was like, we need our supporters. So 30k came. We watched absolute rubbish football. We bought absolute terrible kits. We spent ridiculous amounts of money following them all over Division 2. But we did that because the club in Manchester, for the Manchester people, it feels that it's our club, you know what I mean?
We hear you. We hear you. We're suffering from the same reputation right now at PSG, because we've been here from the beginning without the oil money and that. And obviously with the success that we have recently, plenty of glory hunters, they showed up. And maybe, John, you want to say something around that?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to jump in because I think I'm probably actually quite useful in this situation, given that I grew up as a Villa fan. I had a season ticket up until I left the area, moved with my family when I was 16, and then to fill the void left by Villa, by my season ticket, I actually took up a season ticket with PSG. Now, this wasn't PSG in the Qatari era. This was PSG back in the early 2000s. You had Halilhodžić as coach. PSG were just getting back into the Champions League. So you had some very good players, the likes of Pauletta. They just signed Armand. Rotin was also signed as well. But it was, a galaxy away from what you have today. And it is quite heartwarming to hear those numbers when you're saying that a high percentage are still local fans. But I think in, PSG and City's particular cases, it's that's definitely not the case.
Speaking about this, I have another number. You're totally right, because less than 30% of United and Liverpool fans live in the northwest, with southeast being the second most popular area for fans of the two clubs.
Yeah.
So you see international clubs like that, when you turn you start to be famous, obviously the local community is less dominant, I'd say.
Yeah, and something else I wanted to say as well that Steve already touched on. Funnily enough, growing up, when I wasn't going to watch Villa in the UK, I was actually being taken by my granddad to watch Portsmouth. And the first Portsmouth game that he took me to was against Man City. So back at Fratton Park, back in the old days, it was a horrible burgundy and white away kit. No real star names, but I remember being impressed that day by the travelling City fans, and it's nice to know that there are still, a lot of those hardcore City fans still around, and that's coming from, somebody who, spent part of his life growing up as a PSG fan, and now, often gets tarred with the same brush as someone who's in the public eye, trying to talk positively about PSG from time to time.
Yeah. So, Ben, tell us about the involvement of the young generation in local football, because in France, people from your age, obviously now they're growing up with the success of PSG, and probably with other teams, but I have the impression that people from your age in France, they support PSG not because it's their local team, it's just because they have Neymar, Messi, all those guys, but they don't really either love the city or don't even know the history of the club. What are your thoughts around this for the young generation?
Well, I think that's the same over in England, and I think, as you said in the EFL earlier, there's obviously a lot of people that come from Bristol that will go and watch Bristol every week, but all the kids like my age, sort of teenagers that do go, a good, I would say, just under probably half of them will also go around wearing, City United shirts as well, but still brand themselves as a Bristol City fan. But I think that would be different if they did live in Manchester. I think they'd probably go to Man City every week. And I don't know if that is they are one of the big club fans, but because they live in Bristol, they're just sort of filling watching the team they support with just supporting Bristol City. But I think especially for me, obviously, I probably been a Bristol City fan for all of my life. I think my first game must have been 2012, 2013. 2013, that sort of time. And then the year after that, we won the double and got promoted. I don't know if that probably brought more young City fans to support Bristol City. It probably did, but then certainly my point of view, that first season of we being good, we winning the double. I think the last day of the season we beat Walsall 8-2, and then I got to see both the whole Bristol City team lift the cup. So that probably did bring a few more Bristol City fans in, but overall, I'd probably say in the EFL, pretty much all of the fans are from the local area and are lifelong supporters.
Yeah. Andrea, I think you lived in London for quite a bit, isn't it? That's why you picked up Tottenham.
No, not really.
Right.
I picked up Tottenham for Robbie Keane back in the day.
Okay.
I was a massive fan of Robbie Keane.
Well, you lived in London, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. I did live in London for about 8 to 10 or so years. And obviously, I got led to Tottenham. Of also loving Tottenham from my dad as well. It helped a lot. But I'm gonna say there's one thing that is pretty big for me is most of the clubs starting to realize the income they can make, and just watching tickets prices just go through the roof. And obviously, you know that by making tickets that expensive, you know that you're not going to be able to touch every kind of type of people. And it's going to be complicated for normal working people to just afford and go to games on a regular basis. And I've been to Tottenham, and Tottenham have also gone into the Asian market a lot as well with the AIA, with bringing Heung-min Son in. And obviously, when you go to the stadium and you've got 100, 150 or 200 South Korean people around you, it's terrible, because as soon as Harry Kane makes a pass or Heung-min Son gets the ball, it's almost as if Tottenham have scored. They're like all over the place screaming, and you kind of have to adapt to that as well. Clubs realizing that the money they can make out of all this, they know that they're not going to be able to have the same people at the stadium as 20, 30, 40 years ago. And that is a big problem. And for me, if I can take a personal example, if I were to go to Tottenham, you'd imagine I could easily get tickets, right? It would make sense, right? Well, basically, if I were to go to Tottenham, watch a game, it's either I pay my own ticket, full price, or I go to the game with my dad, and he has to accept to do a halftime interview.
Oh, right.
So
that's really
at some point, like I've always been a massive Spurs fan, and I always will be. But sometimes you don't really understand the whole idea around the club, around people in charge of the club, how they want the direction they want the club to take, and all that kind of stuff. Kind of irritates me, because I love the Bayern Munich and all those clubs that try to involve legends and star players and all that. But it's always kind of a give and take situation. If I don't get something for you, why would I give something back? You know?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And that for me is something massive that has changed.
Right. Very interesting. But you also mentioned that you fell in love with Tottenham through a player, and I think that's the same for Bobby, because I think he's supporting Chelsea from Paris because he fell in love with a certain player named
Didier Drogba, actually. I kind of fell in love with Drogba at Marseille, and when he moved to
don't say this name here, please.
I know you like this team. And when he moved to Chelsea, I used to watch every game of Chelsea because of Drogba, first of all, and step by step, I became a Chelsea fan. Not because I love the history of the club, not because I love the neighbor
Local area.
or
Yeah.
the local area, yes, but just because. And about what Big Steve said, it's true that when I watch Chelsea game, after the game it's over,
Yeah.
everything is over around me, except
Yeah.
when I'm with other fans. But it's really rare, and there is two different seeing of football. And it's that because football club became like a big industrial company. They want
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
sell the product, and you don't have the same but different type of customers,
Right.
and that's the feeling.
Well,
But
I think we have a different culture of in France as well, and I want to touch base on this because obviously I live in London, and I think I have listed more than 30 London professional football clubs between the Premier League, Championship, and League One and League Two as well. There is roughly 30 professional football clubs in London. I live in Shepherd's Bush. From one street to another, you are either a supporter, a fan of QPR. I have this scarf here, right, representing QPR, Fulham, Brentford, or Chelsea, West London. You have four clubs. From one street to another, depending on where you're living or where is your family coming from, you are supporting a different club. We don't have such a thing in France. London is very specific, but even us, Paris, we only have one professional team, and we are a capital city, which is very, very interesting. Manchester, you have two professional teams. Maybe you have more professional teams. I don't know in League One, League Two, or whatever. But in France, we don't have this culture of supporting your local club because we don't have that many local clubs as well. And I think I discovered this when I moved in London. And that's why now I have a soft spot for QPR because I've been involved by default in the local community. When it's match day, all the pubs around, they are only QPR fans allowed. For example, I was shocked, like you have something in front of the on the front door that says home fans only, QPR only. And you don't have this kind of thing in France, for example. You need to show your match ticket that you're a home fan so you can enter the pub. This kind of stuff is like deeply rooted in the local in the English culture. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think I want to try and correct you, but I'm glad you hit upon this, and especially given that we just saw PSG Marseille over the weekend. Regionalism is extremely strong in France. That itself is a different kind of like rivalry because most regions only have like one main club. So when every club in France goes to play Paris, they know that they're going to take on the main team of the capital. No disrespect to Paris FC, Red Star, Créteil, but some of these clubs aren't actually really in Paris if you get down into the real details about it. Saint-Ouen is not actually Paris. Créteil is not Paris. So it's there is a lot of regionalism attached to it, and that's why you see, for example, like a Monaco, they have loads of fans that travel with them for away games, but barely any fans at home games. Why? Because nobody lives in Monaco. It's a reflection of the region more than the actual cities themselves, I think, and it's also a product of France not necessarily being a football passionate country in the same way that England is. There's still a lot of people, certain areas of the country where rugby is more popular than football.
Yeah, but rugby is popular in England as well, isn't it? Would you say? Would you say it's as popular as football?
No.
No.
We once had this debate I went into a bar in Blackpool, quick story, and it was full of rugby guys, and Man City was playing, and we had about 20 lads, and he put a football on me. He was like, yeah, sure. Turn the TV over, and then the whole bar was like, "What are you doing?" turn it back onto football. And we had this big argument. And in the end, the football stayed on and they went to the next park, but we won in the end. But no, rugby's big in certain towns in England and certain parts. Obviously, in the north, it's like Wigan and people like that, rugby league, who've got successful teams. It's big. But 90% of England, surely to God, is football. Everywhere you go is football, isn't it?
Well, our stadium, we share it with Bristol Bears. So Bristol City and Bristol Bears sort of share a stadium. And you can definitely see it. We've got branding of both Bears and City at the ground, but it must be 90% Bristol City and about 10% Bristol Bears. And we're building a new sort of basketball area as well. So that whole sort of section is going to be all the Bristol sports. So you got the football, the rugby, and the basketball. And I'm sure even the new bit they're planning, which is basically just going to be a few restaurants, bars, and the basketball.
Right.
I expect that'll mostly be Bristol City as well on a match day. There'll be hundreds of fans in there as well. And as you were saying earlier, we've got Bristol is basically split apart into two. There's a river down the middle. So one half is mainly Rovers and one half City. But because I was born on the side of City, which is sort of central Bristol, I'm still a City fan because my dad grew up there as well. But I now live on the Rovers side. So I go to school on the Rovers side of Bristol. But you still see there's a lot of Bristol City fans on this side. You see there's a few Rovers fans on the other side. But there must be there's also a street called North Street right next to the ground, which is sort of the major street in Bristol. On a match day, that's full of Bristol City fans, and there's a few pubs around near the ground as well, which is for only home fans. I think it's about a 20-minute walk to the only pub that's for away fans. So I can see exactly what you're saying with QPR as well. When we went to QPR away, I think is it White City Tube Station? Since we got off of there, yeah. Since we got off of the tube, it was full, just QPR everywhere from fans. Even signs in the tube station was saying directions to Loftus Road as well.
That's nice. But what would you say, Andrea, to the glory hunters that decided, for example, to support Tottenham when they fell in love with Harry Kane, and they only support Tottenham for Harry Kane, for example?
I mean, I'm not typically against it because I feel like there's space and room for everyone to support, and no matter what was the first thing that made you fall in love with the club. I'm on the other side. I mean, you could love a club for many different reasons. Problem in France is that you kind of have someone. You'll meet someone that's a PSG fan, that's a Madrid fan, that's a Juventus fan, and from the example,
you mean at the same time?
But it's only Tottenham, it's only Tottenham.
Right.
Obviously, I watch games in Spain, I watch games in Italy, but it's Tottenham in and out. So I'm fine with people falling in love for a player, for a club, for a result, or what sort. But I'm not too fond of people just liking a bunch of different clubs and just having a space for them, for all those clubs in their heart. I think there's space just for one. But then again, I grew up in England, so obviously the mentality is different. You kind of grow up with that, so it's completely different. Being French and English is difficult.
What about people who fell in love with Newcastle and Spurs?
I was about to ask because I think your dad played for Newcastle, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what is your opinion on those fans and discovering a passion for Newcastle now they have oil money?
I mean, well, they haven't recruited anyone yet, so wait
sure.
to see what happens. But I mean, I think it's the first of many clubs that is going to be bought by billionaires and people from those foreign countries. So I mean, it's weird for us because it's still unusual. It doesn't happen every year, but I think it's going to happen even more and more. So, what?
You just say it for us because you consider yourself as a Newcastle fan, or
you're changing now.
No.
Changing now.
No. For us generally, obviously, it's
right.
It's exceptional, but I mean, I think that clubs are going to be sold and bought even more throughout the years to come. So I think we should rather get used to it now rather than complain because it's going to happen maybe to our clubs as well, you know. So
I'm not trying to get your dad in trouble or anything like that, but
Yeah.
do you notice like a bit of a disconnect between him and the clubs that he used to play for that are now under foreign ownership? I know that he's been very vocal in his criticism of PSG in the past for not putting enough importance on the former players.
I mean, problem with him is that when he decided to quit football, he kind of really went away from the game, and even now he doesn't take as much pleasure as he used to into watching a game of football at TV. He'd rather watch golf, rugby, other sports. So I mean, I think it's different. I think it's if a guy in football, and that's what I've seen with different professional players, friends of his. If you retire and you go away from the game for too long, I think you get completely kind of lose interest. And most of the players that are still in the game just go onto their coaching badges or on TV and stuff, and they're just still involved in the game and they still love it in and out. So I think it depends kind of what you do after you retire. And for him, he kind of got fed up. I mean, the how it ended in Villa, how it ended in Everton, the whole series of coach calling him fat, and just it was tough. It was tough because you've done so much things in England, and in my opinion, he's a lot more loved in England than he is in France.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But it's tough towards the end to kind of finish on that note, and it makes me sad sometimes because I still think he kind of deserves better for last.
Yeah, that makes me sad to hear that, to be honest, because I grew up watching Ginola and he's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Newcastle, Tottenham, and I was at Tottenham first game of the season with a good friend of mine. He's one of the well-respected guys at Tottenham, and we went out for a meal on the Friday night, and he said to me, his greatest ever player was David Ginola, and he said, I grew up watching him, and the way he was talking about Ginola, I was like, you know what, fair play. And like, I think to hear that your dad fell out of love a little bit with it, I understand what you're saying. I remember when they were saying he was fat and he scored a goal somewhere, didn't he, and took his top off and he was ripped.
Yeah.
He scored it against City, because obviously being a Villa fan, I'd remember that.
I remember and I thought, man. But these players like that. I mean, Eric Cantona did the same. He just left and disappeared, and it was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? And whether it's a French thing, I don't know. But Ginola, for me, growing up was quality. And like I say, he's loved at Tottenham. You couldn't walk down the street at Tottenham without him getting mobbed. No way.
Yeah, that's true.
You can say a bit about the fall out of love with football over the lockdown as well. I know a good few people that after the lockdown wouldn't have gone back to watching football week in week out. Even my dad, because over the lockdown, 7-8 months, people found different things to do on a Saturday. So then to change it back up instantly as well, to go back to the football, I know I can expect a good few people haven't come back to City after lockdown. And that's nothing to do with like the form or how good we're playing. It's just because they found other things to do on a Saturday at 3 p.m.
Do you know what happened with City as well? This is another crazy thing. A lot of supporters who I grew up with, old school Man City supporters, don't like the fact that the team's winning. And that sounds stupid, but it's true. They say, I preferred it when we went. We didn't know whether we was going to win. We didn't know whether we were going to get beat 5-0, 6-0, win 4-1. I mean, and for me, I can't get my head around that, because growing up in the shadow of Man United and being ripped to pieces every week, I wanted nothing more than trophies and winning, and to see them where they are now, to see us where we are, I'm over the moon. Yeah. There is a generation of fans that is like...
We have the same thing at Paris as well. People, they prefer success than they have love for success more than they have love for the club. I know what you mean.
Mad. It's absolute mad, and it's just football fans in general. And you look at the Man United situation now, you've got a lot of foreign support, Man United. Yeah. You've got a lot of YouTubers, creators, fan cams and all that. They're getting a lot of hate. Obviously, my pal Saeed, he's a United fan from Manchester. He's on the front line. He's getting threats, death threats, racism on the front line at Old Trafford, because they're tarnishing him with the same brush as somebody sat behind a green screen in London, slagging Ole off. He's on the front line trying to get the gauge with the fans, and the fans are venting at him. And you've got a dividing supporters there, same as AFTV. I've seen Don Robbie come out of an Arsenal away game. He's bigger than the club at sometimes. People would rather speak to Don Robbie than to go and speak to Ian Wright. He told me he went to a fan thing in Singapore, and Don Robbie, DT, and Troops were mobbed, and Ray Parlour, Ian Wright, and someone else was stood in the corner. Nobody went anywhere near him. He said it felt embarrassing. So that's your level of supporters. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's mental. That's mental. But Bobby, tell us about. Have you ever been to Stamford Bridge?
No, man, never.
You're not
I've
missing
been
out.
to Loftus Road. One time.
I took you to Loftus Road. Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah.
Yes, but I love to. To weigh in about what you said, I think it's true. You can be the same supporters if you are on the city and outside. And in France, you have this problem. By the way, in Paris, people like already just like good football in Paris at PSG, and even before the Qataris came, PSG wasn't a really good team, struggling to stay in first league. And
it happened once. It happened once, mate. It happened once. Chill.
Yes, but in the middle of the league, if you want.
Yeah, we were like mid-table. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
People doesn't support Paris. Parc des Princes wasn't full a lot, and it's because in France and in Paris, you want good football. You want bling bling, and people came to the Parc des Princes to be here. Not because they love football. They want to say I was here. They want to have picture or video in Instagram and other things.
I know.
And to about what you said about rugby, I'm a big rugby fan, and in France, rugby it's more close than what you have in England. I think in England about football, people have more interest in their local club because they have more interest in every league, every team, even amateurs. I don't.
Amateur league. Non-professional.
Amateur league. And in France, nobody cares about amateur league in football. If your club go down in second league, it's bye bye. And you are just hardcore fan, but it's not a lot of people in France.
I think that's a shame, I think that's a shame. And we're suffering from this, obviously, as you rightfully mentioned. It started way before Messi and Neymar. Obviously, it started when Qatar arrived and when a certain David Beckham played and finished his career at PSG for 6 months. And suddenly you had plenty of birds inside the stadium and they were selling loads of shirts. And it was, the strategy behind this was quite dangerous, in my opinion. And now with Messi, look, for example, I'm attending the PSG Lille game on Friday. I'm going to Paris, and I will be in the ultra end. And usually in the ultra end, you have the shittiest seats in the stadium, right? But you're going for the atmosphere, and you know that you're going there and you're going to pay cheap tickets. But now we are paying the Messi tax.
Yeah,
I paid fucking 100 quid for a league game, right, against Lille. It's not even against Marseille or Lyon or whatever, because now
French champions though.
Come on, mate. But no, mate, that's unreal. I was so pissed off. Obviously, I'm living in London now, so I don't have that many opportunities to watch games. So I paid the price, but I was pissed off because, especially in the ultra end, we have this culture of preserving the affordability of football. And now you have even some ultras are making money out of it by reselling their ticket twice the price they're paying for it because of Messi, you know. And I think it's deserving. It's not in favor of the culture, and we're suffering from this because you have people in the stands. They don't know the history of the club. They don't know the songs. At least in England, right? Even if people are not really hardcore fans of the club, they know at least one or two songs. In Paris, people are not even know one fucking song. Some of them, if not you're not a hardcore PSG fan. They're like coming to watch just Messi and take, as you rightfully mentioned, take their pictures, post on Instagram, and that's it. And that's very, very frustrating. Hopefully, it will change, and hopefully, it will not happen the same at Newcastle soon.
It will.
Guys,
It will.
I've got to say that I've got to head off now. I'm actually going to see Red Star against Le Mans this evening.
Oh,
so
nice one.
Some of us do watch the lower levels here in France.
Yeah, nice one.
It's been great exchanging with you all, and hopefully chat again soon.
Yeah, pleasure, John.
Cheers,
pleasure.
John.
Cheers, John.
Thank you.
Anyway, so have a lovely night. Right, guys. Just a last word for the Glory Hunters. Guys, pissing me off. You need to stick to your local club, in my opinion, right? Sorry for you, Bobby. I know, but I think that's very important to support your local club. So big up to you, Ben.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's very hopeful to see the young generation sticking with their local club, and I
Yeah.
hope the French young generation will get inspired by your insights. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate your feedback.
No problem. Thanks for having
And
us.
let's catch up for next one.
Cheers,
Bye,
mate.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.